This is the Jack Murphy Podcast. Here's your host, Jack Murphy.
Well, hello, boys and girls, and welcome back to another edition of the Jack Murphy Podcast. Boy, the world is going to hell in a handbag. A couple of days ago, I read a little bitty article about an environmental group in Canada who had been trying to get the Canadian government to pass new regulations about not pollution, not climate change, not EV vehicles, anything like that, about hiking, walking across the land. Apparently, they believe that people hiking and walking across the land in Canada is bad for the environment. Well, it's good for the people. I mean, it helps them stay in shape, live longer, burn calories, have less medical costs. I mean, I can think of a whole plethora of things that we could say about walking that are good, but this environmental group wants it stopped because they say it's bad for the land. And here's a Canadian guy talking about it. Listen
Canadians have become so passive that the government can now ban you from walking on your own land, and most people don't even blink. Nova Scotia has just imposed sweeping wildfire restrictions that don't just apply to public parks, but also to private land. If you own a wooded property, trails, or any slice of forest, you're not even allowed to go for a walk with a friend. And if you're caught, you could be slapped with a $25,000 fine. Premier Tim Houston recently announced that hiking, camping, fishing, and the use of vehicles in the woods are banned across the province, including on private land. While the province says you can still use your own property, the moment you invite someone else to join you, even for a casual hike through the woods, you're now breaking the law. This ban applies to all wooded areas and trails, whether they're government-owned or privately held. Trail systems are off limits, campgrounds remain open, but only the officially designated ones. This isn't just about stopping campfires, it's a sweeping prohibition on movement, access, and freedom on the land you pay taxes on and maintain. To enforce it, the province has launched a hotline encouraging residents to snitch on neighbors seen violating these rules.
Like COVID.
Just like the early days of COVID when governments deputized citizens to report backyard barbecues and driveway gatherings. Nova Scotians are now being asked to monitor one another's summer's plans. Houston admit this situation sucks, but insisted these measures are necessary to prevent wildfires. Yet even his own Minister of Natural Resources admitted that this season's fires...
This is absolutely crazy. Can you believe that? Just like COVID. So I guess the old adage about if you're walking with your buddy and a grizzly bear comes along and he says, "How do we outrun it?" And he says, "I only have to outrun you. You'll be walking alone now, so you're going to be the grizzly bear's victim." That's just unreal. So NASA is plowing ahead with plans to put a nuclear reactor on the moon. I first saw it and I said, why do we need a nuclear reactor on the moon? So I read this story that by the end of the decade, they plan to have a nuclear reactor on the moon. It's called the Fission Surface Power Project. NASA gave out a bunch of grants back in 2022 to Lockheed Martin and Westinghouse to create a system that's about 13 feet long, 20 feet long, 13 feet in diameter, and it'll work for about 10 years on the moon. They believe it's an important first step for developing systems that could sustain a Martian colony. Now, I don't want to be Debbie Downer about the Martian colony, but I think that's a pipe dream. I just think with our technology that we have now, I mean, we already know, we see these people that stayed in space for a year and they come back emaciated and can't walk. And, going to Mars would be much worse. And there's there are no resources on Mars that we know of. They think there might be some frozen water under the soil, but when you get there, why? I don't think humanity can survive on Mars. Now, on the moon, that's different. I think if we had a base up there that was nuclear powered, there's probably a lot of minerals and things on the moon that we could exploit and use. But maybe I'm Debbie Downer, but I just don't think Mars is a realistic goal.
Voting in the affirmative. Baldwin, Lancaster, Durbin, Heinrich, Hirono, Kane.
So I was out and about yesterday, and I saw a couple of things. One, the No Kings people were out and about. Near where I live, there's a couple of big strip centers. One has a big Harris Teeter, the other a Publix, and another with a big Target, Home Depot, the usual suspects in there. And right before the big, beautiful bill passed, it seemed like every Friday and Saturday, there would be a group of people on the street corners, holding up signs that said, democracy is a contact sport. No kings. Honk if you support us. There's about 10 of them out there, and about every fifth or sixth car gives them a honk, and they were out there again yesterday. I mean, I didn't understand why. There's nothing going on. I guess they're just going to keep on doing it. That amused me to see them still out there yesterday. Thursday afternoon, 3 o'clock, nothing better to do. Let's just stand on the side of the road with these signs. Then I had to stop. I went into my local Circle K, and I was at the checkout counter, and I looked down and I went, are you kidding me? They have a box. They're selling something called whipped shots. Whipped shots. It's whipped cream that's 10% alcohol. And I picked it up and I said, whipped shots. And the lady looked at me, it's this older lady that works there, and she looked at me and went, dumb, huh? I went, yeah, it looks pretty dumb to me. I said, well, let me ask you, do you have to check people's ID to sell it? And she goes, I said, is anybody buying them? She goes, so this morning I went online. I was going to get a picture to show you. And it says, do not refrigerate. I guess that's because it has alcohol in it. But it's not as big as a Miracle Whip, a Ready Whip can. It's a little smaller than that. And they were in there were like 4 flavors, and each flavor had a different color. There was like a tan, a mocha. And so I went online. I was going to get a picture to show you on the podcast. And guess who's behind this product? Cardi B, the rapper. Yeah, it's her product. That explains a lot. So there's a television show that I watched on and off through the years. It's called Alaska, the Last Frontier. And it's about the Kilcher family that live up in Alaska. And they have a homestead up there by the ocean, and they raise all their own food. They raise cattle. They drive the cattle across the water in the spring and let them graze on the grass that grows down by the ocean. They have to fight off wolves and grizzly bears that come in to try to kill the cattle. And Papa Kilcher, there's 2 brothers. One of them lives on a boat. He's kind of a goofball. But Papa Kilcher and his wife, Charlotte, I think's her name, they do a lot of gardening, and he can build just about anything. I mean, the guy's unbelievable. But the reality show's all about them and their children and surviving in Alaska. By the way, the brother that lives on the boat, do you remember the singer Jewel, who had some hit records back in the 90s? She's still around today touring. That's her father. She's a Kilcher. Well, one of the, I thought, more interesting people on that show, by the way, the last episode I saw, one of Papa Kilcher's cows attacked him and nearly killed him. And that was the last episode I saw. But his son was married to this really interesting lady named Jane, and of course it was Jane Kilcher. She would go out with Papa Kilcher's son, and I don't remember his name, but they would take a boat out to an island, camp, and they would stay there and hunt and fish 2 or 3 days to fill up their freezer and bring it back. She was always, right in the thick of things. But apparently they got a divorce. I didn't even know about it. I was just casually going through Facebook this morning, and I saw a post from Jane Kilcher. Not only is she not on that show, I don't even think the show's filming anymore, but she just finished up a season of that, what's that, Bering Sea Gold. She's on that show. But Jane said, it's a shame in 2025 as a woman that I have to defend myself as to what I have accomplished and own. I own my own house on Kilcher Road. In my unfortunate divorce, my ex did not want to keep the house. I would never fight to keep a house that's next to and surrounded by kilchers. But he didn't want it, so I bought him out of it, and I'm happily coexist with my kilcher outlaws. So anyway, it's all my prerogative. Bering Sea Gold finale tonight. All right. Well, best of luck, Jane. You know, I love ice cream. I'm very lucky. Close to me, there's a Cold Stone Creamery. I don't go a lot because I know I could stand to lose 20 pounds at least. But once a month or so, I'd go over there to the Cold Stone Creamery and I'd get me a big old ice cream with nuts and stuff. I love it. So anytime I see a story about ice cream, I'm interested. And our buddy Alpha Trevette, the actor, who's had a big week. He won a big award for Best Independent Film, and he's been auditioning this week, a table read for that Sweet Magnolia show. But he sent me this funny story. In Brooklyn, New York, there's a new ice cream shop, and they're doing it a little bit differently. They're making ice cream with breast milk. Have you ever had breast milk? I won't go into that, but anyway, they're making ice cream from breast milk, and here's some of the people talking about it in Brooklyn. Watch this.
I'm Catherine Dunleavy, and today we're in Dumbo, where people are lining up around the block to try breast milk flavored ice cream.
Okay.
Some people have described it as fruity, while others say it has more of a vanilla taste to it. But we're going to find out why people are even trying it in the first place.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Why you came out to try the ice cream today?
It's super interesting, and it's free.
I'm an ice cream lover. I actually walked over a mile to get here.
I came down because I saw the post on Instagram, and since I have a baby and I'm a breastfeeding mom, I thought it would be cool to try something like this.
I had seen this, heard about this on the NYC Free, and was happened to be in Dumbo.
Tell us what you expect it to taste like.
From what I've read, it tastes like honey. That was good enough for me.
Added nutrients and minerals and stuff like that in there. I feel like it'll taste salty, but I feel like it could work, you know, a little sweet, a little salty. It's got a good, it's like putting like salt on your vanilla ice cream.
Have you tried breast milk before?
I've tried my own, yes. I always said it kind of tastes like leftover like cereal milk, like a little sweeter, I think, than regular milk.
It's kind of like cake batter. It's definitely not salty. It just kind of tastes like,
I mean, I think that has to do with what they put into the sugar and the flavors that they put in there. But just, I don't know. And isn't there a bunch of women that are always begging for breast milk for their babies because they can't produce any of their own? Isn't there something better we can do with our breast milk than make ice cream? Are we running that low on cow's milk and goat's milk and whatever the other kind of milk that there is, that we're opening ice cream shops with breast milk? I don't know. I would not want to eat it. It's just my personal thing. But, whatever turns you on. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it has happened again. We've covered this twice here on the podcast. It happens always in the WNBA for some reason. But there's been another sex toy incident at a WNBA game, this time in Atlanta.
Oh, look out. Something just came
Indiana.
to the floor. Got an object that just flew in as the free throw was being made.
Uh-huh.
And it looked like that hit a player, too.
Yeah, it hit a player, and guess what? The guy that threw it has been charged with a pretty serious offense. Now, The Athletic, they've jumped all over this controversy, and of course they blame it on misogyny, and they accuse these men of denigrating these wonderful WNBA players. This prank, which has beset the WNBA. 2 arrests have been made. Caden Lopez, 18, was arrested in Phoenix, and he said he felt compelled to do it after he saw it on social media. So another man has been arrested, Dilbert Carver, 23. He's been charged with disorderly conduct. Shannon Ryan of The Athletic says, why is this only happening at WNBA games? Well, you know, at hockey games, they take octopus and throw it out on the ice. And I don't even know what that means, but it's a similar type thing. I think I know what they're trying. I think I know what they're trying to say, but she did note that it started when Caitlin Clark entered the league. Why are they always picking on Caitlin Clark? I don't get it. Players are negotiating for higher salaries, but they're still fighting for their reputations to be respected. You know, that one, the one that got arrested in Russia for having a marijuana vape thing, I can't think of her name right now, but I keep hearing that she is a man. She looks like a man. She's certainly as big as any man I've ever seen. She plays basketball like a man. I don't know. But anyway, this woman then goes into a history of how men have attempted to keep women out of sports and sports reporting. Humiliation, lewd, sexual has long been used as an attempt to make women feel uncomfortable in sports or diminish their place in history. So here in North Carolina, where Governor Cooper left office and Josh Stein is our governor now, we have a real problem at the DMV. North Carolina's DMV achieved 100% of its DEI benchmarks in 2024, but has failed miserably to meet core competency performance goals related to safety, infrastructure, and fiscal responsibility, according to the Department of Transportation. Not only that, but it seems like every night on the news, they're at the DMV with their cameras posting video of the lines, which are, I think of all the ones that they've done, the woman said the average wait time is 3 hours and 15 minutes to see someone at the DMV. And if you go on like a Saturday, that goes up to like 5 hours. I mean, it's just horrible that they can't figure out a better way to do it and not make people waste an entire day to go get it. Now, once you get your license, I know I just renewed mine online. The last time I got it, I got that new global ID thing, and it was good for 7 years. And when I renewed, I didn't have to go in, which was great. But I mean, at what point at what age, how old do I have to be before they go, yeah, you're going to have to come in and let us check to make sure you're okay? I don't want that, because sooner or later they're going to say, you're not okay, you can't drive anymore.
They don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
Well, this is pretty scary. You know, when we go to the doctor or the hospital, we just kind of assume that the person that's going to be taking care of us is well-trained and competent and a professional, caring medical person, right? But I guess that's why there are so many lawyers in the business of suing hospitals, doctors, and nurses, etc., for giving bad care, because it happens all the time. This story is especially scary because down in Florida, this woman got a job at the hospital. I'm trying to remember exactly what they called her. She wasn't exactly a nurse. She was oh, doggone it. What did they call her? Let me play this video. It's in Florida, but she saw thousands of patients, and she's not a licensed nurse at all. Watch this.
Making a woman detectives say posed as a nurse in Flagler County is now in jail. Deputies say the woman worked on thousands of patients by pretending to be someone else.
West 2's Justin Shecker joins us live this afternoon in Flagler County. Justin, we know you just got an update from the sheriff. What did he say?
She ain't no nurse.
Well, Sheriff Rick Staley describes this case as one of the most disturbing cases of medical fraud his deputies have ever investigated. Fortunately, the sheriff says there were no serious injuries or deaths related to this former Avid Health employee who's accused of getting her job by posing as another registered nurse.
Hey there. Are you Autumn? Yeah. Can you step out of the car for me, please?
Flagler County Sheriff's deputies arrested 29-year-old Autumn Bardisa Tuesday for 7 counts of practicing a healthcare profession without a license and 7 counts of fraudulent use of personal identification information.
I would say this is greed or wanting a job so bad that you would manipulate a system and assume somebody's identity to be able to practice. You went to school.
Pretty scary that this could happen, in today's society. It's pretty amazing that the hospital didn't have, better checks and balances. She used a fake ID. Do you check the picture? I don't know what you do, but that's scary. An unregistered nurse. I mean, they do some pretty important things like give you medication, shots, determine if the doctor needs to come in and, this is an emergency, that kind of thing. So I suspect that there's going to be some So quick update on Hulk Hogan. They had the funeral a few days ago, and I just read this morning that they haven't cremated Hulk yet because daughter Brooke has offered to pay for the autopsy, and Sky, does that sound like a stripper name? Sky Hogan? Anyway, Sky says they haven't cremated the Hulkster yet because they're making sure every question is answered. As far as I can tell, the only one asking questions is Brooke. And she didn't go to the funeral, by the way. I saw a video she posted. She said that Daddy hated funerals, the morbidity of it all. And so she posted a nice little video, her and her, I think they're twins, at the beach, saying he loved the water, he loved the ocean, and we spent the day here at the beach thinking about the Hulkster. And Sydney Sweeney, update on that. And finally, this is a scary story, I guess. The sound of the blue whale singing has decreased off the coast of California, frightening scientists who believe it's an indication of a greater ecosystem danger. Scientists tracked the auditory songs of 3 whale species, the blue, the fin, and the humpback, in the North Pacific Ocean over 6 years, and they're picking up less and less whale song. Now, this was a very long, complicated, almost scientific article, but basically they were talking about, you remember the blob? It was this giant mass of Pacific Ocean water that was had an elevated temperature, and it has moved into where the blue whales were for a while. They don't think there's any less blue whales. They just think they've moved. Real quick story. One morning back in the late 80s, I was living in San Diego, and I used to go on these weekend fishing things quite a bit. So we would go out at 10 or 11 o'clock at night. You would meet down at the docks, and they claim it's the largest sport fishing fleet in the world. And you get on these big boats. They're like 120 feet long. There'd be 25, 30 guys. And they have a kitchen, a grill on board. And you have a little berth where you can sleep. But you go 10 o'clock at night. The boat leaves, picks up the bait, and boom, off you go. And so it's about a 7-hour ride out to where they fish. And, you can sleep all night. So we're out there at the Coronado Islands, which is pretty close to San Diego in this case. It's 3 islands that are just across the Mexico border. And we had been fishing that morning, and we weren't catching squat. And the reason we weren't, the water was full of creel. And so there were these little pods about this big of this red creel. And it's not microscopic, but it's a tiny shrimp. And it's in these little cloud pods. And the fish weren't biting because they were eating that. And there's no lure or bait that mimics that. So the fish were full, they weren't eating, and, we're going to be there all day because they're going to keep trying to fish. So I go downstairs and I'm sleeping. And about, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning, the captain comes down. I'd gotten to know this guy, wakes me up and he goes, "Jack, you got to come up and see this. You'll never see it again in your life." Well, I get up there. You have to imagine it. The water is this vivid blue color. It's not foggy, but it's misty. And I was just blown away. As far as you could see in every direction were the world's largest creatures. There were blue whales everywhere. I mean, hundreds of them with their calves, and they were coming right next to the boat. And these things were, it seemed as though they were the size of tractor-trailer trucks going through the water, and they would come up by the boat and blow out, you know. I mean, it was just, it was one of the top 2 most amazing things I've ever seen in my life. So I hope the whales are somewhere safe and they'll come back to the California coast at some time so that the state of California can tax them for coming close to their shore. Anyway, that wraps up the Jack Murphy podcast for today. Have a great weekend. I'll see you Monday.
Thanks for watching the Jack Murphy Podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Go ahead, ring it. Get alerts when a new episode drops, and tell your friends about the Jack Murphy Podcast. But only the cool friends, please. Tune in next time for another episode of the Jack Murphy Podcast.